Hi, everybody. Welcome again to IV English. I'm Bruce.
I'm Angela.
And I'm Wesley.
Today we have a long article for you. Its title is Spanish Ghost Towns Reappearance.
A reappearing ghost?
好，我们的中文标题是西班牙鬼城再现。
Okay, I'll read through this long article, and then, of course, Angela and I will go back one sentence by one sentence until you understand it, or else. In 1992, the residents of Aceredo, a small Spanish village located on the northern border of Spain and Portugal, were forced to leave their homes. Despite intense protest, including a 10-day hunger strike, the Portuguese government across the border was going ahead with plans to flood the valley behind the Alto Lindoso Dam, whose purpose was to generate hydroelectricity. The accompanying reservoir would serve as a stable water source for the surrounding region. Out of choices, the Aceredo residents packed their belongings and fled their small community, never expecting to see it again. A severe drought, however, has given the former residents of Aceredo an opportunity to return to their old homes. The drought has been torturing the Iberian Peninsula since November 2021. The situation has gotten so bad that Portuguese government officials have limited the use of 6 hydraulic dams to conserve the scarce water supply. In some parts of Spain, reservoirs are already below 45% of their maximum capacity, and the region hit hardest by the drought appears to be the northern border of Spain and Portugal. The Alto Lindoso reservoir is currently dwindling to only 15% of its capacity. An accidental consequence of the drought is the reappearance of abandoned villages, such as Aceredo. Former residents and tourists both have returned to see the abandoned homes. What they saw on the parched ground were broken houses, crates of old beer bottles stacked outside cafes, and deserted vehicles slowly rusting away. The site presents a thought-provoking image, one that is sure to become more common as droughts brought on by climate change continue to affect the world.
Okay, so in 1992, the residents of Aceredo, residents are people who live in a place. So these people lived in a town called Aceredo, and it's not a town, it's a small Spanish village. A village is smaller than a town. I would say the difference between a village and a town is that a town has a business center to it, and a village is just the people who live and work in the area live together in one place. So, I don't know. That's my personal definition of it. Your mileage may vary. So, this small Spanish village located on the northern border of Spain and Portugal. So, Portugal is like a little chunk bitten out of Spain on the west coast of Spain. And so the northern border of Portugal is basically this very short. It's short compared to the longer eastern border of the thing. So these people were forced to leave their homes because the Portuguese government decided to build a dam, and the people on the Spanish side of the valley were forced to also evacuate, even though it's not their government building the thing.
好，所以在1992年呢，residents 就是居民在这个西班牙的这个 Aceredo 这个地方的一个居民呢，这个 Aceredo 是什么东西呢？它是一个 small Spanish village， 是一个小小的西班牙的一个村庄。好，那刚刚这个 Angela 老师讲说，他个人的感觉这个村庄大概只是有人居住那如果是 town 的话呢，大概就是会有这个做生意的地方。好，那这是他一直强调是个人的感觉，但其实感觉起来这个 village 的人可能也是比那个 town 少一点所以可能就是因为所以才会 town 才会让人家觉得有一个 business center。 好，总之就是这里它是一个小小的西班牙的村庄哈，然后呢 located on 那这个村庄是位置在哪里呢？是在一个the northern border of Spain and Portugal 哈，是在西班牙跟葡萄牙北边的边界啊，那里有这么一个小村庄。那在1992年的时候呢，那个村庄它里面的居民呢 were forced to 被迫 leave their homes 离开他们的家园。
Despite intense protest can be a noun or a verb. Here it's a noun, and an intense protest means the people are really upset, really angry, and are taking an active stance or position against something, which included a 10-day hunger strike. They refused to eat for 10 days to show they were serious about what the Portuguese government was doing to their Spanish town. But the Portuguese government across the border was going ahead with plans to flood the valley behind the Alto Lindosa Dam. The Portuguese wanted to build the dam for a reason we'll find out in a moment. But in order to do that, it would flood the border area into Spain, and then the residents of Aceredo, this small Spanish village, would be out of luck and out of a house. So why does the Portuguese government want to build this dam? Its purpose, the reason for building the dam, was to generate, to create, or to make hydroelectricity, because water falling off a dam, falling down along the side of the dam, water weighs a lot, and it can move pieces of equipment that turn gears, and they create or generate electric power.
好，所以我们看到这个句子，他说 despite 就尽管有intense protest， intense 是激烈的， protest 是抗议或者抗争所以虽然有激烈的抗争，那这个激烈的抗争包括什么呢？ including a 10-day hunger strike， 包括一个为期10天的 hunger strike， 就是绝食抗议。好 strike 是示威抗议，那 hunger 就是饿肚子，所以叫做绝食抗议。好，但虽然是这样子有激烈的抗争，但是葡萄牙的政府呢 across the border因为其实我们讲的这个村庄是在西班牙，那葡萄牙政府是边界另一边的葡萄牙政府那虽然说是另一个政府要盖水坝，但是影响到这个西班牙的这个村落。好，所以葡萄牙政府呢 was going ahead with plans to go ahead with 就是开始进行通常是表示经过计划的阶段或者是得到允许之后you go ahead with something 所以他们还是这个经过在这里应该是经过计划的阶段之后呢，他们就开始进行的这些计划 plans 要干嘛呢？要 flood the valley 要把这个山谷淹没掉。那这个山谷是哪里的山谷呢？是在这个the Alto Lindosa Dam 后面 behind 在这个 dam 在这个水坝后面的山谷要把它淹没掉。那 Alto 这个字是在高的意思那 Lindosa 应该是 beautiful 的意思这在西班牙文里面好，那这个 dam 这个水坝就是他们要盖的这个水坝呢 whose purpose 它的目的 was to 是要 generate 产生 hydroelectricity 就是水力的电力所以它要盖这个水坝是为了要水力发电。
So the dam was to generate electricity, and then the accompanying reservoir, the reservoir that would go along with it, because in order to run a hydroelectric plant, you need a bunch of water to do it, and so you need a bunch of water in reserve for future generations. So to have water in reserve, you build a reservoir. So reserve and reservoir have the same root. It means to keep something. And so this reservoir, which is only used for water, by the way, would serve as a stable water source for the surrounding region. So the people around would also have the water from the lake that would be created, essentially.
好，那 the accompanying 就是伴随而来的就是淹没山谷之后所形成的这样的一个 reservoir 水库那水库这个字各位发现它有跟 reserve 是同一个字，跟 reserve 是保留的意思R-E-S-E-R-V-E 所以水库是为了保留水的那 accompanying 你可以把它想成 resulting R-E-S-U-L-T-I-N-G 所以 之后所形成的这个水库呢，将可以 serve as 就是提供或者具有什么功能啊？所以它可以有什么功能呢？它可以提供一个 stable 稳定的 water source 水源啊，替这个 surrounding region 对这个周围的地区可以提供一个稳定的水源。
Out of choices, the Aseredo residents. This means they no longer could do anything about this. They tried a hunger strike. I'm sure they tried many things, but there was nothing else they could do to change the Portuguese government's project. So they packed their belongings. Your belongings are what belong to you. The things that you have, your clothing, your furniture, and whatnot, and fled their small community.In a sense, they ran away. There was not going to be a place for them to live. It would be underwater in a matter of time, maybe months. And they never expected to see their beautiful little village again.
好，那我们看到这个一开始讲 out of choices 啊，各位注意到那个 choices 是复数的，所以 out of choices 的意思是选择用尽了，他们没有选择了，无奈之下they are out of choices， 他们没有什么可以选择了啊。然后呢，这个村庄的 residents 他们就 packed their belongings， 就把他们带着走的个人物品，这个叫做 belongings 啊，它可以加 s 啊，打包啊。然后呢 fled their small community， 好 fled 它的原形动词是 flee 哈 flee 啊，那它可以当及物动词来用，例如你可以 flee the country 就是逃到国外，好 flee the city 是逃出城去，好 flee home 是逃离家啊，所以在这里 fled their small community 就是逃离他们的小小的一个聚落一个社区啊。然后呢 never expecting to see it again， 他们从来没有期待要再度看到这个他们的社区，这个 it 就是指他们的 small community。A
severe drought, however, has given the former residents of Aseredo an opportunity to return to their old homes. What does a drought have to do with them able to see their flooded houses? We'll find out in the next sentence. A drought is a region-wide lack of water. It isn't that like one tiny town has a lack of water. For something to be classified as a drought, it has to be a wide area. And in 2021, there has been a number of droughts in various places. For instance, in the southwest of the United States, they're in the 20th year of drought. And that's, in 2 years, it will be the longest drought that they've ever seen in 800 years.
好，所以呢 a severe drought, severe 是严重的，drought 是干旱啊，那怎么样呢 has given 他给了 the former residents of Aseredo 啊，就是把这个给原来在 Aseredo 这个地方的这些居民啊 former 或者先前的啊在这里的居民，给他们什么呢？给他们 an opportunity 一个机会，可以 to return to their old homes， 让他们回到他们的老家。
The drought has been torturing the Iberian Peninsula since November 2021. We explained drought. A drought tortures the land. This is a colorful way to describe that with a lack of water, the land is punished in a sense. It's hard for anything to grow. Many animals and plants will die. Iberian Peninsula refers to Spain and Portugal together as a landmass at the southwestern corner of Europe. And this has been going on for about half a year.
好，所以呢，那这一个干旱呢 has been torturing， 好 torture 在这里就折磨或者是在哪里肆虐，好，所以这个干旱呢在伊比利半岛啊已经肆虐了很久了啊，是自从2021年的11月开始就在这里肆虐了，换句话说这个干旱已经很长的一段时间了。
The situation has gotten so bad that Portuguese government officials have limited the use of 6 hydraulic dams to conserve the scarce water supply. So in order to conserve water, they're cutting down production of electricity, and that is a precarious balance to be fighting. If you want to conserve something, you want to save it for later.
好，所以就是节约的意思，好，这 conserve。那我们看到这个句，他一开始他说这个状况呢 has gotten so bad， 已经很糟糕了，糟糕到什么程度呢？糟糕到这个葡萄牙政府的官员呢 have limited， 他们限制什么 the use of， 就是限制什么东西的使用啊，限制什么东西的使用呢？限制了6个 hydraulic dams。好，这个 hydraulic 就是水力的啊，像我们讲说这个 hydraulic engineering 就是水力工程啊，或者像这个液压的这种刹车叫做 hydraulic brakes 啊 ，breaks。好，所以这里呢，它所谓的 hydraulic dams 就是它这个水坝大概是要用来利用它的水力的，可能叫发电或干嘛的。但是呢，现在葡萄牙政府因为这个干旱很久了，所以他们已经限制了6个水坝他们的使用啊。然后目的是要干嘛呢 ？To 目的 conserve 节约哈 ，the scarce 就是稀少的 water supply 稀少的水源供给啊，所以水的供给已经很少了，那他们就决定先不用啊，或者暂停使用这6个水坝。
In some parts of Spain, that's where this little village is that we're featuring today, Aceredo. Reservoirs are already below 45% of their maximum capacity. This refers to the water in the reservoir that Angela described earlier. That water is only half as much water as it could hold is still available for use. Capacity is how much something can hold or do. And the region hit hardest by the drought appears to be the northern border of Spain and Portugal, exactly the area we've been talking about around Aceredo.
好，所以呢，在西班牙的某些部分、某些地区，好 ，in some parts of Spain， 好，这个水库呢 are already 已经 below， 已经低于45%，什么东西的45%呢？他们的 maximum capacity 的45%。maximum 是最高的 capacity 是容量，那在这里当然指的就是蓄水量。所以呢，西班牙某些地方的水库，他们的现在有的水位呢，已经是低于他们蓄水量的45%，也就是一半不到了。然后呢 ，the region hit hardest， 好，那这个 hit 在这里是影响的意思啊，所以 the region hit hardest 就是受到最严重影响的地区啊，被什么东西影响呢？受到这个干旱最严重影响的地区啊，是怎么样？他们 appears to be 啊，是哪一个地区呢？看起来好像是，似乎是西班牙跟葡萄牙的北边的边界，那正好就是我们这个 Aceredo 所在的地方。
The Alto Lindoso Reservoir is currently dwindling to only 15% of its capacity. If something is dwindling to something, it's going down to a level. But dwindling is a word that really makes you feel like, oh, my gosh, we have almost nothing now. So dwindle is kind of a powerful word for talking about lack.
好，所以呢，这个 dwindle 其实就缩小的意思啊，它会让你强烈的感觉到啊，越来越少，越来越少那种感觉啊，还蛮有画面的。好，所以他讲到这一个水坝呢 is currently 目前是 dwindling 哈。而且它用现在进行式表示它是不断的在缩小啊，那缩小到大概怎么样？只有它容量的 15% 啊，那差距非常的大啊。这个其他已经45%已经很恐怖了，它只剩下原来蓄水量的 15%。
Okay, let's look at our final paragraph now. An accidental consequence of the drought. A consequence is the result of something.Here, accidental means an unexpected or unanticipated event that happens after something, is the reappearance, the coming back, if you like, of abandoned villages, not only our Aceredo that we featured today, but others around there as well. Abandoned because the people had to flee. They fled their homes, remember? So now that the water is down,to as low as 15%, there are some areas in the reservoir that are dry. And in those dry areas, you'll see in a moment what they can find or see.
好，那有一个 accidental 就是意外的 unexpected 当然没有料想到的一个 consequence 一个结果啊 of the drought 就是这个干旱带来的一个意外的结果 consequence它可以表示结果啊，它也可以表示正面的，也可以表示负面的结果。但是呢，它比较常跟负面的结果在一起啊，所以 consequence 常常是个 bad result。但在这里呢，它不是坏的，这是好的啊。所以有一个让人意外的结果是怎么样呢？是 the reappearance， 就是重新出现、再次浮现 of abandoned 就是被遗弃的 villages 复数的就好几个当初被遗弃的村落现在再度的出现了，因为水位下降了。那例如 Acevedo。
So what happens is that former residents and tourists both, two of these two groups of people, the people that used to live there and people who are just curious, they have returned to see the abandoned homes. They want to see what they look like now.
好，所以 former residents 先前在那里的居民他们后来被迫搬走的那些居民，还有 tourists 观光客都回来要看一看 the abandoned homes， 看看这个被遗弃的这些家园现在长什么样子。
What they saw on the parched ground, great word here, parched means completely devoid of water, no sign of water at all. They found broken houses. That's an interesting way to describe, because when the water covered a house, it would weaken it, especially if it's a stone house, and maybe a wall will fall down, a door will be broken, the roof will collapse, and so on. Also, crates of old beer bottles, if they went to my house, stacked outside cafes. Cafes are clubs or restaurants that specialize in non-formal eating. This is a village, after all, so it's not going to be a big, expensive hotel kind of restaurant. And deserted vehicles slowly rusting away. If something is deserted, no one is paying attention to it. No one is taking care of it. In that case, vehicles which are mostly metal with water and then without water, they will rust very quickly.
好，所以呢
And I just want to say rusting away means disintegrating. So they're not just rusting. They've not got a little bit of rust on it. The rust is eating the cars away, turning them into dust.
好，所以 rusting 不只是生锈 rusting away 当然 rusting 是生锈了，那 rusting away 就是整个锈掉了慢慢坏掉了那种感觉有那种 away 的感觉。好，所以我们看到这个句他说 What they saw on the parched ground， 他们在这个干枯或者是这个干涸的这个地面上面所看到的 parch 这个字就是非常干的那 parched 是被弄干的，也就是因为干旱的关系那通常是因为干旱或者高温你会 parch， 例如我们常常讲 dry parched land 或者 dry parched soil。 好，那你如果比喻的话，有的时候怎么样，这个口渴，非常口渴，你的嘴唇好像也可以说是 parched 所以例如你可以说 she licked her parched lips 她那个干的那个嘴唇她舔了一下。好，所以他们回去之后看到就是这个干涸的这个地面，那 were 在这个上面看到怎么样有看到 broken houses 破损的房屋， crates of old beer bottles 一箱箱的旧的这个啤酒瓶crate 这个字呢是内部通常是有隔开来用来装瓶子或者装货物的一个板条箱像这个很常看到一个 a milk crate 他们这个以前在国外用牛奶常常会用一个 crate 来装，或者我们讲的 shipping crate 运送的时候的那种箱子。好，那有的时候我们会讲 a crate of empty bottles 这个空瓶的这个放在这个箱子里面或者 a crate of apples oranges 都可以。好，所以看到一箱箱的旧的啤酒瓶 stacked 就是堆叠堆放outside 放在怎么样 cafes 咖啡馆。那我们刚刚讲说 village 通常是没有 business center， 但是还是会有商店的然后呢 deserted vehicles 废弃的车辆，那这些废弃的车辆是正在 slowly rusting away 正在慢慢的锈掉。
The site presents a thought-provoking image. If something is thought-provoking, it basically makes you think. It provokes you to think. You go, huh. One that is sure to become more common as droughts brought on by or caused by climate change continue to affect the world.
好，那这样的一个地点呢 presents 呈现出了一个 thought-provoking 就是发人深省的一个 image 一个画面让你开始去思考。好，那这样的一个画面 one 就是这样的一个画面 that is sure to 一定会 become more common 会变得越来越平常as 就是随着 droughts 这个干旱 brought on 就是造成by climate change 随着气候变迁所造成的干旱会 continue to affect the world 会持续影响这个世界，以后我们会看到越来越多这样的景象。
So we have some questions here for you. Number one is which? Why did the residents of Aseredo leave their village in 1992?
阿塞雷多的居民为何在1992年离开他们的村庄呢？
The answer is B. The village was in a valley that was going to be flooded.
因为他们的村庄位于一个将要被淹没的山谷里。答案是 B。
Number 2. What has the drought caused the Portuguese government to do?
干旱使得葡萄牙政府做了什么事？
The answer is A. Put restrictions on some hydraulic dams.
答案是 A， 限制了一些水力发电水坝的使用。
And number 3, according to the passage, which of the following is not something one can currently see in Aseredo?
根据本文，以下哪个是目前的阿塞雷多所看不见的？
And the answer is D. You cannot see rusty beer bottles, mostly because you would never see rusty beer bottles unless they were made of metal. Glass does not rust.
好，所以答案是 D。 好，你看不到生锈的啤酒瓶。
Well, that's it for today's lesson. Hope you enjoyed it and learned some English. We'll be back again a few more times this month. Until the next time, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.